Hello guys, and welcome to another video. I thought I'd show you a more in-depth overview and review of the Xacti camcorder that I use to do my videos on YouTube. The reason I use something like this instead of a digital SLR is quite simple. It has in-camera autofocus. And generally speaking, if you want to do videos regularly, you want a video camera or a camcorder really. SLRs are fine for doing the occasional bit of video, but they're not ideal, especially if you want to do long pieces of video. This can record until the SD card runs out. Most digital SLRs have a limit of 30 minutes. So, let me show you more about this particular camera. Right guys, this is the Xacti camcorder that I tend to use. Basically it's a dual camera. It has basically various functionality in terms of HD video. It can do basically 180p at 60 frames a second. And basically it has a lot of extra features on this particular camera. So I just want to talk about what I've got here in regards to my setup, and hopefully this will give you an idea on what I actually use generally speaking. The main reason I use this camera over my digital SLRs is quite simple. Right, here you can have a better viewpoint with me using my 10-18 EFS lens, and hopefully you get more of an idea of what I use here. So obviously we have a decent mini tripod here. What I can do is fold it up and hold it like that as a cam, basically, to follow me, you know. It has lots of features, this camera does. Basically it's one of the first dual cameras that came out some years ago. But it's a camcorder first, rather than it being a still camera that can do video. So it can do stills. The stills limitation is 8 megapixels, but you don't really get a lot of manual focus. It's all in menus that you have to adjust the focus, which isn't ideal for doing photography. However, it is really handy for doing video, and the main reasons for that is it can do 180p HD, full HD at 60 frames a second video. Now there's extra options, and I'll show you what it can do in terms of video. So in terms of my setup, we have a standard tripod here. I forget what brand it is, but it's just a generic one. Obviously the Xacti camera, I paid around £350 for the camera, but it's really nice in what it does. We've got a video to go Rode microphone with obviously one of those sleeves on there to basically help or reduce noise from wind. And the reason I went for this video to go microphone from Rode is because it don't require any sort of batteries. The power comes directly from the camera. In terms of how I've got it connected to the camera, basically it's a 3.5 jack that goes into an adapter for a 2.5 jack, and then that just goes in the 2.5 slot. I also have a headphone socket, so if I want to monitor my sound I can do so. And when I got this Rode microphone, I did notice there was a big difference between the actual onboard sound to using the Rode sound. Basically it cut out a lot of static and hiss noise, so obviously the video from this is really clear. The other benefits, obviously, on this particular camera, it has other features, but one thing I did add to it was the wide angle semi-fisheye lens, which Sanyo, which is the maker of the camera, actually manufacture. So there's a lot of these types of lenses out there that are pretty poor quality. This particular one is the Xacti 0.4x semi fisheye lens with macro. So what that basically means is you can detach a part of the lens like so, and it's basically like a macro lens that you can do some macro photography or video, which is really handy if you do want to do some macro photography. And all you do is you screw it on the front of there. Now, because it's a fisheye, you can see edges in the frame. So what I tend to do is I zoom in a little bit, and basically by doing so it gives me the effect of a proper wide angle lens on this. Right, I just want to go through the various video options that you've got available on this camera, which is really handy. So under video we've got 1920 by 180, 60 frames a second. Then we've got the ability to do it in 30 frames per second. Then 1280 by 720, 30 frames per second. 640 by 480, 30 frames per second. Not really useful, that. And then lastly we've got 448 by 336 at 240 frames per second. So basically this camera has lots of options, and it is really handy if I want to do HD video, unlimited recording times in high quality. And that's why I chose this camera, because it has that facility and capability. It also has a photo mode, which there are various options, and let's just have a look at those. So we can choose 12 megapixels by 4000 by 3000, 8 megapixels high, 3264 by 2448, 8 megapixel small, 3264 by 2448, and then it can do 6 megapixel in widescreen, 3264 by 1840, and 2 megapixel 1920 by 180. So if you wanted to screenshot from video in HD, 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second, that's more or less what you would get if you were taking a snapshot of some HD video. So as you can see, this camera is really handy for doing just quick photographs, nothing high spec, because obviously it's not got SLR lenses in it. But as a general video camera rather than a photo camera, it is really handy for doing various options. And obviously you've got scene selection because of different white balances, such as sports, portrait, landscape, night portrait, snow and beach. So if it's really bleached out in terms of light, you can use one of these presets, even fireworks when it's dark. It also has a self timer of up to 10 seconds, which is actually better than the SLRs I own, which only have a 2-second timer. I just want to show you the difference between the inbuilt lens and using one of these adapters. So let's just put the fisheye lens on. As you can see, we've got a bit of a ring going round. Let's just turn it back on. We just zoom in a little bit to get rid of the black ring that we've got there. Just enough. And there you go. And it's quite a wide shot, as you can see in the screen. So I hope you found this a little bit interesting and find out what I use to make videos. Hello guys, just doing a bit of a walk around with this camera, just so that you get an idea of how well it tracks my face in terms of a vlogging camera. So as you can see, it's keeping me in focus. It's got a camera shape inbuilt into the actual lens and the camera, and it's constantly keeping me tracked in and focused. Now if you're interested in what it looks like without the adapter lens, that Xacti 0.4 semi fisheye lens, I'll take it off now and you'll get to see what it's like with the standard lens. So as you can see, that's the main difference with the actual lens taken off. It's still a good camera even with that wide angle fisheye lens that I've got, but as you can see, it's keeping me tracked. It's not too jerky, and my hand is moving quite a bit as well, so it's really handy. So you know, I just wanted to show you what I actually use to do videos, and thank you for watching, and I hope this was interesting.